Well, welcome everyone. Let's make a start. People are still joining, but we will allow them in as we get started. Welcome everyone to the first day of this 2-day ESCAP virtual regional workshop. It's really, really good to see so many of you here. The numbers are increasing. This is really, really good to see. My name is Kerry Regan. I'm a consultant with ESCAP, and I'm going to be your moderator for today and tomorrow. So you're going to see a lot of me. Now, before we get started, I want to run through a couple of administrative bits because there are some things I think some of you will want to set up before we really get started. So we're using Zoom today, as I'm sure you have noticed. There is simultaneous interpretation with Russian taking place. You should be able to see an icon at the bottom of your screen that looks like a globe, looks like the world. If you wish to have Russian translation, please go there now and switch to Russian. The only other language is English. So if you wish to make sure you're in that mode as well, please do make sure you've clicked on the English. For the Russian translation, please, for those who speak, let's be clear, let's not be too fast, and let's make sure our audio equipment is working well. Now we're using Mentimeter. This is what my slides are being presented in. This is how we're going to collect questions for our Q&A sessions, which will come later. We'll talk about that later. There's a QR code on the screen. You can use Mentimeter with your mobile phone. It seems to be a great way to use it because you're probably using your laptop. However, we will also paste that link into the chat. If you'd like to have it on your laptop at the same time, please do. What you'll notice in Mentimeter is that you can add in questions as we're going today. You can at any time go into this system and fire up Q&A and add your questions. What's also great is you can vote on the questions in there. So if you see a great question, give it a thumbs up and it will rise it up in the level of its importance. And it means we will come to that question at some point during the Q&A session. There's also a preferred language in Mentimeter. So depending on which gadget you are using, you can switch it to the language that you want. And there are more than just Russian in this. If you're on your Android phone, there are 3 dots in the top right, and you can click on those and you can get the translate. If you're on an iPhone, it's the AA down in the bottom left corner that you need to hit to get the translation. If you're using Chrome, you can find it in the options. And if you're on a Mac, you can find it again in the AA. So hopefully you're all comfortable and you've got the languages, the preferences that you want. For some housekeeping rules, we are making sure that all mics are muted and cameras are off, and that is just to save the bandwidth and to make sure there are no distractions, I guess. But we will, if you wish to speak, raise your hand and we will enable your microphone and enable your camera, and we'll bring you into the conversation. The session is being recorded and a link will be shared with everyone who registered after the event. So those are a few more housekeeping rules. So what we're going to do, how we're going to run this, is that we're going to try to save all of your questions for the Q&A panel sessions that we have scheduled in for today. So as I've said, you can put your questions in this Mentimeter, you can put it in the chat, or you will be able to raise your hand and we'll engage your microphone at the time of the Q&A. What we'd request is that you please state who your question is for. So you might see, if you're in Mentimeter, you'll see some questions and they have brackets and they say who the question is for. That is going to really help us make sure we get the question to the right place. Those are the housekeeping rules. I am now going to hand over to Rikke Munch-Hansen, who is the Chief of Economic and Environmental Statistics at ESCAP. And Rikke is going to officially open today's workshop. Over to you, Rikke.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for the introduction and the practical information. It is my great pleasure to, on behalf of ESCAP, welcome everyone to this two-day virtual workshop on big data and data science for official statistics. The workshop is organized as part of ESCAP's project on big data for official statistics, which has been funded through the 2030 Agenda Subfund of the UN Peace and Development Trust Fund. I'm delighted that so many people have signed up for this event. The latest count I heard was very close to 450 people, so let's see how many tune in. But this number really signals the deep and wide interest in big data, data science, and their use for official statistics. And to me, it also signals commitment and enthusiasm by statisticians and statistical institutions to continue to improve our services and products. The interest also points to some important global developments which really formed the background and rationale for ESCAP to engage in work to promote the uptake of new data and new technology for better official statistics. National statistical offices, and all of us indeed, are operating in increasingly complex settings with rapid technological change, global interconnectedness, and ongoing crises and conflicts. Global commitments such as the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development aim to create a better future for everyone by addressing poverty, inequality, environmental challenges, and so forth, and at the same time ensuring that no one is left behind. And those type of agreements and commitments have really amplified the need for accurate, detailed, and up-to-date data to track progress and guide decisions. The urgent need for timely and frequent data was also underscored during the COVID-19 pandemic, which exposed quite a few shortcomings of existing statistical production processes. Technological advancements and new data sources such as satellite imagery, mobile data, and sensors offer opportunities to enhance many things: disaster response, improving healthcare, etc. The increased demand for insights through data, digital government transformation, and the rapidly growing range of actors with diverse interests call for new statistical capacities. Here at ESCAP, we promote collaboration among countries to harmonize statistical standards, share good practices, and address common data challenges. Every 2 years, the chief statisticians from countries in Asia and the Pacific convene as the ESCAP Committee on Statistics. And the past 3 meetings of this committee, which happened in 2020 and 2022, and latest in December last year, have actually put at the very forefront of their discussions the use of big data, data science, new technology, and the need for statistical systems to be more agile to meet changing and growing data needs. ESCAP Statistics Division, where I work, serves as the secretariat for this committee. And our job is to translate the decisions of the chief statisticians into concrete programs, projects, and initiatives. And the project within which the workshop today is organized and was designed was indeed based on the decisions I just outlined by the committee. During the past 18 months, This big data project has enabled ESCAP to work with a large number of national statistical offices in Asia and the Pacific. In some, very closely directly with the statistical office and other national stakeholders to develop and implement big data solutions, for example, using Earth observation data, or more generally and by engaging more than one country at a time through training programs and workshops to learn new tools like Python, new methods and skills like small area estimation and web scraping. Today and tomorrow, we will be hearing from many of the statistical officers who took part in the project and who will be sharing their achievements with us. I hope that this will inspire you to either start your big data journey or keep pressing ahead. The topic of today is application and integration of geospatial data for official statistics. Geospatial data is not new. It has existed for many years, but new technological advances, improved data accessibility, and the availability of methods and tools to work with it has brought it within our reach. Our presenters today will show us what is possible with this type of data, while also sharing with us some challenges they have faced and how they overcame them. I encourage everyone to be very active during the workshop. There'll be plenty of opportunity to engage, so don't be shy in coming up with your suggestions, your questions, or other. So with that, I wish everyone a very successful workshop, and let me hand it back to you, Carrie, to get us further on the way. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ricky. Some lovely words there. And yep, that's why we're here. So let's quickly run through the agenda for today, and then we'll get started. Our first session today will be from our colleagues at the Vanuatu Bureau of Statistics, who undertook a project to apply Earth observation data to land cover mapping in Vanuatu. Next, there will be colleagues from Statistics Indonesia who will share their presentation on rice mapping using Earth observation data. After those two presentations, we will spend 45 minutes for a Q&A. We will welcome our NSO country teams, plus those who supported their work. And this is where your questions that we gather throughout the morning will be answered. We will then take a 30-minute break, and when we come back, we'll hear from colleagues from the National Statistical Committee of the Kyrgyz Republic on the application of geospatial data for estimating priority SDGs in Kyrgyzstan. This will be followed by two talks where Earth observation data has been used with small area estimation techniques for poverty estimation and mapping in Malaysia and in Bangladesh. Following those three presentations, we will have another 45-minute Q&A panel discussion where we will answer your questions. After the discussion, Mark Iliff of the Geospatial Information Officer at the UN Statistics Division in New York will join me to signpost the learning materials that are available to support you in geospatial project work. And then Ricky will close the day for us. And before we get started, I would just also like to introduce some other ESCAP colleagues who will be supporting us today, and you may hear their voices. Mr. Richard Tonkin, ESCAP statistician and big data project coordinator, and Mr. Eric Day1, consultant for the ESCAP big data project. I'm sure many of you know who they are and have met them at some point. I don't know, Eric and Richard, if you can turn your cameras on and just give us a wave so we know who you are, and because we will be seeing more of you later. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing these slides, and I am going to share the slides for Vanuatu because I move them. Apologies. And if Susie is here, is Susie ready and admitted and ready to present?
Hi, Terry.
And
Terry. Carrie. Sorry.
it is Kerry. It is Kerry.
It's,
And Susie, let me introduce you, Susie. Let me do what I need to do here. So Susie Mento is Senior Statistician for Social and Environment Statistics at the Vanuatu Bureau of Statistics. And Susie, if I can remind you, you have 15 minutes and a 2-minute warning will be given towards the end. Over to you.
Thank you, Carrie. Sorry, I'll just switch on my camera. Just to introduce us in the room, I'm Susie, and I have also the coordinating team with me here. This is Charlington, the acting deputy chief statistician, and Hugo Pickard, a statistical advisor.
Oh, are they being shared?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you see your slides?
No, not yet.
It's me. I'm hitting the right buttons. I'm too used to Teams. Is that better?
Yep. Yeah, now we can see the.
My apologies. The floor is yours, Susie.
Okay, hello again, everyone. This afternoon, our team will be presenting on our project with the ESCAP team on land cover mapping using Earth observation data. Next. Next. So this is the overview of the project that we have with the ESCAP team. Of course, why we decided to carry on the project is because our data collection methods are costly and they're slow and are outdated, especially to monitor land use and environmental degradation and also to allocate resources wisely. Therefore, we would like to use machine learning into our land accounting system. It will integrate the Earth observation data and also the SIA framework that we are using at the Stats Office to enable government for good decision-making processes. The objectives of this project is that we've done assessments to understand what is happening with the land accounts or land methods or land use throughout Vanuatu in 2023, and we've also built capacity to use machine learning and yield Earth observation data methods, and also how to use it into the governance decision-making processes. And on the right is just a picture to illustrate what we are trying to achieve from the project. Next. So why big data? How do we develop land accounts from a map to data to accounts? Of course, we would like to tap into the free satellite images that are available, and we're using the free Sentinel and Landsat images for this project, and also the use of machine learning. This is just to automate the classifications of land cover, land use, and just trying to integrate the satellite imagery and machine learning to help the government to monitor and support resource management and development. Also to enable our users to have real-time up-to-date monitoring, and also build capacity and reduce costly data collection exercise. Next, please. So for the project structure, we have a coordinating team I've mentioned in the beginning in my introductions. And below is the departments that are involved in the project and also a part of the training that we conducted by the ESCAP team. The expectations of the outcome from this project is just to have the land accounting system streamlined with broad classifications, as I've mentioned, to allow government to monitor land cover changes, land use, and environmental changes over time, and also to build a foundation for future capacity building, and to refine or review the system in the future. Our timeline for this project, we have until it will lapse in April 2025, when we will have the final training with the ESCAP team in Port Vila. Next. Requirements for project delivery. Next. The processes. Of course, in Vanuatu, we have a poor coordinated information sharing system in the government departments, and also the surveys are manually done with limited coverage and also irregular cycles. We also have limited capacity in use of GIS tools, and the skills that we have are limited. And also with data dissemination, and of course, sometimes we have limited to no information shared within the users. So from this project, we collected the satellite imagery directly from the open source portal, and then we tried to conduct the processing on small geographic areas, just to produce annual reports and statistical maps that will be shared publicly and made accessible on our NSDP platform, which is our localized SDGs. Next. Of course, for the data access and infrastructure, there are some challenges that we face. The first one is the infrastructure limitations. Our infrastructure cannot handle large geospatial data sets, so we have to secure a partnership with SPC to use the Digital Earth Pacific platform. The other challenge is to ensure that the data is accessible, and also there's ownership. So we have an extensive stakeholder engagement that includes assessments, workshops, and partnerships with the Department of Lands, because they have a mandate for lands and delivering maps for the government and the country, and also the Department of Forestry, because they have a good national forest inventory data set that can be used. Next. The methods, tools, and the skills. Of course, we worked with the Department of Lands. We used, they have boundaries that are hand-drawn and digitally used, but of course they're inconsistent and they're not reliable for land mapping. We also work with the Department of Forestry. However, the system that they used were classified by international experts, and therefore there was no capacity built within the government to maintain and update the system that they have. So for this project, we had in-person trainings, and we had a good hands-on workshops that were done from our experts from ESCAP and also UNCAP. We had training on machine learning, online classification, and also the use of RAP for automated data pipelines, and also geospatial data processing techniques. So on the right, you can see there's a picture of a training that was held in Vanuatu last year from the UNESCAP team and UNSCAP team. Next. And of course, those methods and tools and skills that we have had challenges. One of them was the limited technical expertise. Since machine learning and geospatial data analysis using satellite imagery is a new area for FIBOS and also some of the stakeholders in Vanuatu, We have limited experience using those. That's why we had to conduct in-person trainings and workshops. As previously mentioned or seen in the photo in the previous slide. And also the next one is to ensure that if the project or the system, this land accounts is sustainable, and the knowledge that we gain from all the trainings are retained and can be used in the future. So we try to focus on long-term integrated projects that people, staff who are willing to learn or to work more on machine learning and geospatial data processing can incorporate them into their work plans in the future. And then they can secure other partnerships to build on the learning or the training that we got from ESCAP in this project. The other challenge is the stakeholder coordination across multiple government agencies. Of course, each department, they have their own priorities. So we try to address that by conducting extensive stakeholder engagement just to ensure that the agency's needs from this project are met, and they're also heavily involved. Next. Next. Okay, application and practice of new knowledge. We had a good teamwork with the UNSCAP experts and also our stakeholders, where we could use cloud-based tools to share the resources, as seen on the right. That's the platform that we used to share some of the resources during the training. And we also ensured that we had regular check-ins with the stakeholders to ensure that they are involved, as I mentioned, and that their needs are not excluded. And we've also there's also a need for another further training. We've already had 2 in 2023. So this a further training that's happening in April is added to the project timeline. Next. And of course, here are the challenges for the application and practice of new knowledge. First one is the collaboration again across multiple agencies. This required coordination, good coordination, since each department and ministries have their own priorities and workflows. Therefore, we had regular stakeholder meetings, and of course, the cloud-based resource that we use, as previously shown. And we've established clear roles and responsibilities that we expected from the stakeholders. The other challenge is building the government capacity for the long-term sustainability of the use of land accounts system developed or machine learning and geospatial data processing. Of course, previous projects have failed because most of them were led by external experts, and there's no capacity building for government workers when the project collapsed. Therefore, from this project, we've developed clear and concise training materials that can be replicated given the project lapse. Individuals or staff who would like to go on using machine learning geospatial data processing can use the training materials to replicate them for other projects that they would like to explore. Next. Project outcomes. Of course, the results from this is to develop a good framework that is driven by machine learning, especially for the land accounting system, and also we also the technical capacity within the government, and also to create a strong stakeholder engagement. And the next steps would be to have the final testing in March and April, and then continue on phase with the 3 to 6 months phase, just to finalize the data and validate and to check the methodology used and also review the system if it needs to
Hey,
upgrade.
Susie, just to give you a kind of quick heads up, I've got 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Next. The aims and the goals and the expectations from this project is to have the use of machine learning and satellite imagery integrated into the CLM accounts and to train government staff for sustainability. The expectation is that we should be able to have land account classification capabilities accessible to government agencies to use for decision making. And the next step is to have a full institutional integration where the government can lead and manage this and also secure long-term funding for the project to continue its operations. Next. The impact, of course, once the system is fully complete, then we should have accurate and up-to-date, efficient use of land use statistics. Also, we'll be more confident to use machine learning for land classification and geospatial RAP and integrate it into the CLM forms or the statistical frameworks that we use. And of course, knowledge transfer from the ESCAP team to the FIBO staff and also from the FIBO staff to other stakeholders or departments. Next. Future outlook, of course, given the potential of the project, FIBOs have decided to integrate big data approaches into other areas of the statistical production. As seen on the right is an article from the Vanuatu Daily Post. There's a chief statistician there in one of the meetings held in Port Vila from SPC. And also we've secured funding for other projects through World Bank and SPC to use machine learning and satellite imagery to monitor impacts of climate change and also natural disasters, and also be a lead in the Pacific and share materials if other NSOs or Pacific countries would like to use, then our resources and outputs from this will be available for them to replicate. Thank you. Oh, inside anyway.
Kindly unmute yourself, please.
Carrie, you're muted.
Thank you. We are going to thank you, Susie. Thank you for that very interesting presentation, some really interesting work. We're going to hold all of the questions until we get into the Q&A session that's going to run after Indonesia has presented. Indonesia, we'll go straight into the second presentation. Are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
let me share the screen. Yes.
May I share the screen, OG?
No, I will just share it for you. Okay. If you can see the slide, right?
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
that. Thank you very
So-
much. So we now welcome our speakers from BPS Indonesia, Ms. Widya Stuti and Ahmad Fauzi. Welcome. The floor is yours. And again, you have 15 minutes and we'll do that 2-minute warning just to see if we can just move to conclusion at that point. That would be great to keep us on track. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Widya Stuti, accompanied by my colleague Ahmad Fauzi. We will share Indonesia experience in modernization of agricultural statistics using big data for rice data estimation. Next slide, please. Next, okay. Currently, Indonesia calculates rice production data using two surveys. The first is area sampling frame survey, is designed to estimate the harvested area, and the second is the crop cutting survey, is utilized to estimate the rice productivity. And the output from both survey are then calculated to estimate the rice production data. And the advancement of big data has initiated the mixed method approach by incorporating EO data, ESF data, and machine learning model. And this approach aims to optimization of cost-effective data collection, addressing non-response issues in remote areas, and reducing the surveyor burden. However, the mixed method approach is designed to not entirely replace ESF activities, but can reduce the number of the sample of ESF surveys. Next, please. So the project was initiated in 2023 by exploring various big data approach, and we developed the initial models. Continuing in 2024, we began to develop the model in 10 provinces and conducted the field validations. And in the same years, we also collaborated with UN, ESCAP, and FAO for technical assistance. In 2025, we continue to develop the model by upscaling at national level. And we plan to develop the second model, which is the crop yield model. And in the upcoming years, we plan to implement this method. Our team member consists of from the diverse skill background, including the project manager, data scientist, geospatial analyst, software developer, statistician, and agricultural specialist. And each member has different role based on their expertise. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the original statistical process, which is the area sampling frame survey. The survey applied the dot sampling approach, where the sample location are visited monthly by field officers, and then to identify the paddy crop energy, and the data are then analyzed to estimate the harvested area. And the mixed method plays a role in substituting the ground data collection activities. However, we have several challenges in the implementation of this approach. First, the regional heterogeneity that requires the model to account for diverse geographical characteristics. Second, the suboptimal training data that affect model development, and satellite imagery processing that requires a powerful computing infrastructure. And how to overcome? We built separately the model for each cluster area. We conducted the field validation to evaluate the model accuracy, and we used the National Data Center to support high performance computing and large scale data processing. Next, please. So this is the data workflow within the infrastructure system. For this project, we collaborate with Ministry of Communication and Digital of Indonesia to provide the National Data Center. And we also collaborate with National Research and Innovation Agency that assists in providing pre-processed Sentinel-1 imageries. So the Sentinel-1 imagery that acquired and pre-processed by BRIN stored in a cloud storage, then it processed in a virtual machine managed by BPS Statistics Indonesia, and the output stored in a web dissemination platform for users to access. Next, please. Okay, this is the, there are 5 penology stage of ESF data, namely land preparation, early vegetative, late vegetative, generative, and harvest. And for the model improve process, we adjust the labeling by adding non-agricultural land and barren class for improve the accuracy. Furthermore, thousands of coordinate points obtained from the ESF data are then utilized as a data training for the machine learning model. And we learn the temporal pattern of spectral values from satellite imagery to identify each phenology stage. Next slide, please. This is the general step of the methodology. First, the satellite imagery acquisition. We use Sentinel-1 with temporal resolution 12 days and spatial resolution 20 meters. And the pre-processing satellite imagery using Snap software. Second is spatial clustering that aim to cluster the area with similar characteristics. And this step determines the required number of the machine learning models. The third is data preprocessing. There are 3 steps here: the extract satellite imagery band values, missing data imputations, and data quality filtering. And the fourth step is the modeling. We split the data with a 70% training and 30% testing. We tune using the XGBoost model for each cluster and evaluate the modeling result. And we conduct the prediction and estimate the harvested area and area of each phase. Next, please. For this project, we required a specific technical skill, including remote sensing, data science, and agricultural. So each team member spread across in several departments, and each department contribute according to their own expertise. To further to strengthen the team's capability, there are several technical training and workshop were organized in partnership with ESCAP and FAO. And besides the partnering with international agency, we also engage with National Research Agency, which is PRIN, as the expert partner to sharing their knowledge in remote sensing area. Next, please. Okay. The next slide will be presented by my colleague Oji. Please, Oji.
Okay, thank you, Vida, for presenting the first half of the slides. Now I will continue with the delivery and the impact. I will now present the modeling result depicted in accuracy maps across 10 selected provinces where our project was conducted. The model shows a varying accuracy across regions, with higher accuracy observed in South Sulawesi, West Java, and South Sumatra. However, we also have identified the weakness of our model, particularly lower accuracy in the mountainous area. Next, we compare the estimation. First, the model predicts the phenological phase in the ISF sample plots, and then using dot sampling, we estimate the harvest area. After that, we compare between the ISF and mixed method. As you can see here, ISF and the mixed method yield a similar harvest estimation, with the difference highlighted during the harvest period March 2022 and March 2023. In cluster with a higher accuracy, estimation align well, while in cluster with a lower accuracy or lower than 80%, remote sensing model or a mixed method tends to be overestimated, particularly during the peak harvest. In 2024, we also conducted field validation and observed both matched and unmatched events. Our finding indicates that the most unmatched events occur in the swampy lowlands, mountainous area, rice field, and then heterogeneous landscape. To support this process, we developed the robust working environment, including the mobile app for the field validation data collection, namely with the Wilkerstat application. And then we also developed the Jupyter Lab for data processing, GitHub for version control with the link shown here, and also a destination system. Additionally, we also organize a series of webinars and workshops featuring experts from the ESCAP, FAO, national institution, and also a global expert. Several key documents are also produced in 2023 and 2024. Now we're moving on to the impacts. Our findings have led to the significant impacts in terms of tangible benefits. We achieve a cost-effective data collection, improve timeliness, provide more insight, and enhance results to be more localized. We also included testimonial videos showcasing those impacts, as you can see in the link on YouTube. Beyond the tangible outcomes, we have strengthened our data-driven policymaking, ensuring that policy are more precise and evidence-based. We are also encouraging adoption of the EU data to develop official statistics, and also contributing to global knowledge and collaboration between our agency in the national scale and also in the international scale. Now, lastly, in the future, we plan to scale the model to the national level. So instead of 10 province level, we plan to the modeling all of the province in Indonesia and extend it to the crop yield estimation as our second model. We also welcome opportunities to share our methodologies with other national statistical office NSO through future collaboration. I think that's all for us. Moving back to Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Really, another really interesting project. Quite ambitious, I'd say. Both of the projects have been very ambitious. Thank you. We will now move into the Q&A panel discussion. So at this stage, we are going to invite some others to join us, to join our NSO team. So if Susie and Charlie and Hugo can join for Vanuatu. So Charlie Leo is a principal statistician with data collection and management at VBOS. Hugo Piggott is a statistical advisor at VBOS. And also joining them, I'm very pleased to introduce Ms. Blanca Perez Lapina and Miss Eleanor Rushdev, who are both ESCAP consultants who worked to support these projects. Both have worked with many countries across the region and globally, supporting the integration of statistical and geospatial information. And we'll get their reflections later. But we are going to start with questions for the NSOs. So how this is going to work, we are going to spend time first with questions for the NSO project teams. We'll then spend some time speaking to the others who are our other panelists who supported the projects. And then we will open the floor. We'll go to the chat. You can raise your hands and we'll move through the Q&A in such a way that everyone has an opportunity to contribute. So what I'm going to do is share my screen again, because we mentioned this Mentimeter earlier, and questions are in there, thankfully. And we are going to run through these, and I'm going to alternate between, I'm going to go Vanuatu first, and then I'm going to come to Indonesia. So let's see what we have. I can see a question there for Indonesia. We'll come back to that in a moment. First question that seems to have the most likes, and everyone, if you're in Mentimeter and you see a question you like, please give it a thumbs up and it will jump it up the list. So question for Vanuatu. Your organization is relatively small. You're an island, Pacific island. How do you prioritize your statistical outputs whilst keeping staff trained at the right level to produce something as complicated like you have done with the land accounts and with using the Earth observation data?
Perfect. Thank you, Kerry. Maybe I'll add a couple of words and then I'll leave Charlie and Susie if they want to add on too. I would say in terms of our case in Vanuatu, we had limited capacity sort of originally. So when you're having very technical trainings like machine learning, the people that sort of tend to excel in those trainings are people with prior experience in sort of programming or GIS. And so in Vanuatu, we probably have like a core group of sort of 5 or 6 people with those sort of capabilities. And you saw that in the training that they were sort of moving at a different speed to everyone else. So I'd say that sort of for us, I think what's been great with the ESCAP program is it's Vanuatu's first big data program. And through this, we built a huge amount of awareness, not only at sort of director and director general level, but also through sort of technical people. But I think really it'd be from this project, it would be us consolidating what we've learned through a sort of core group of technical people for them to sort of finalize the land accounts and to us to think through how we can integrate that into decision making of sort of forestry and lands. And then that in the short term and in sort of the medium and long term, have that group help to train others within the Vanuatu government. We had sessions from ESCAP and ESCAP, and we actually had some internal sessions run where some of those core people actually retrained using the same materials. So we have seen it work, and it's just about us sort of putting it together in terms of sort of short term and long term.
Thank you, Hugo. Yeah, it's always good to have training materials that are available then for others to use in some way. Thank you very much. Let's go back to that question for Indonesia. Indonesia, are you there?
Yep. Yes.
This might be this looks like a complicated question. How many field visits do you expect to reduce by using the geospatial data? Do you have any estimates of time or cost savings yet?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, we expect to reduce the field visit by using this method, but we haven't determined the exact number yet. Because we need to analyze the cost to see how much we can optimize the budget if we apply this method. Likewise, while we believe this will save the cost on transportation, labor, and logistics, but we still need to calculate the exact saving through further analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing it will take a while before these savings become known. Once
Yeah.
you've upskilled and this becomes just a regular statistical output. It takes time. Okay, thank you. Let's see what else we have in here for Vanuatu. This is like a surprise questioning. Okay, we've done that one. Out of the new requirements for your project, Vanuatu, question back to you. Out of the new requirements for this project, so considering you've had to retrain, get new skills, there's new methodology, and there's new IT, what was the biggest challenge? I think other NSOs would be interested to know what the biggest challenge was for you.
Right. With regards to the new requirements, especially for the skills, is having this project of big data. The trainings that we engage in, especially in this project, was quite new to some of our stakeholders that join us in the project, especially the Forestry Department, Ministry of Lands, which do have some background skills in GIS, but to relate it into accounts, especially to work with projects with big data that will, especially for the land accountings, it's quite very challenging. But then we try to phase out the project and the different level of training so that we start from where it makes everybody comfortable before we start moving into intense part of it. So I guess that's the challenge, because most of them here in Vanuatu, we have this group, the geospatial user group, GIS and RS user group. So it comprises of GIS officers around in every sectors, and we form a group that we do establish and got our geospatial policy passed through the parliament, which makes every project and every organization coming in, even despite of which department and ministries they are working with, but if it's geospatial related, then you have to go through the requirements, criteria from the policy that we did have passed in the parliament. So the challenge in that is that while we have the GIS expertise in there, but the movement of it into the machine learning is a challenge, which means we find it very difficult, but like we said, with thanks to the project we've had, and now we're coming towards the end, it kind of help us run or try to familiarize the other stakeholders with the easiest way to blend in and then move together inside. So in that case, we can overcome that challenge. But again, like we said, we have a small organization and a small group. Our challenge again now is for us to transfer more of this to other stakeholders that are part of the national statistical system, which will be reporting to the different accounts, which we are planned to move into in the next coming years to come.
Thank you, Charlie. So your approach has been to adopt a framework, make sure you're, within the requirements for how you work, but then also you're bringing everyone along the journey with you, which is I think many have found that a really difficult thing to do, is bring everyone, all your stakeholders, your senior leaders, everyone is on the journey with you. So I think you've achieved really well. And I can see there's more to come, which is fantastic. We will at the end be sharing some of these frameworks and things for other NSOs to see and to follow if this is where they want to go. There are strategies in place to support people. Okay, thank you. Let's go back to Indonesia. We've done that one. We should be marking these. I can see some more questions have come in. So let's go down. Let's have a look. Indonesia, great presentation and the progress you made with a large team of people. However, how do you maintain continuity if, for example, there are personnel changes, funding issues, or government new policies? That's a great question. How do you maintain this level of skill and etc.?
Okay, I will try to answer the question. We have several strategies. For example, we document all the process so a new team member can easily continue to work. And we conduct a regular training and a workshop that helps transfer knowledge across a team member. And we also encourage the collaboration between departments to prevent dependence on specific individuals. And thankfully, Indonesian government, BBS Statistik Indonesia fully support in this transformation statistic using big data. So I think this is the key for to successfully modernizing the agricultural statistic. And for the funding issue, actually we explore various various resources, including the government support itself and the international partnerships. And probably next, the research grants. I think with these steps, we aim to ensure this project remain sustainable and continue to grow. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you very much, Rita. Yeah, it's good to try to stay on top of everything. Okay, there's quite a lot of questions have been added into the Menti. We will come back round to pick these off again because I want to, at this stage, to bring in Elena and Blanca, if that is okay. I can see your question is there. Okay, you can have a think about how you're going to answer that question shortly. But is Blanca available? Blanca, are you there? I want to just bring you in.
Yes, I'm here.
Blanca with us? Hi,
Yes,
Blanca.
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes,
I know
thank you.
You were supporting Vanuatu in their work on land cover mapping and land accounting. And I know you've been providing this sort of support to many other countries over the years. But, based on those experiences, your experiences, what recommendations could you share with other countries looking to use geospatial data for their land accounts?
Yeah, thank you, Kerry, for your question. Maybe first I would like to say, for those unfamiliar with these CLN accounts that you are referring to, I would like to say that they are essentially tables that summarize changes in land cover areas between an opening and closing year. So just like to make that. And an important aspect is to understand that the CLN are especially explicit, so they are compiled using geospatial data, where it is the topic of today, and primarily land cover maps. And so this not only allows to present these land cover changes in a table, but also to visualize them in a map. So while this special perspective is it introduces additional considerations, and based on my experience, some of the maybe key recommendations for countries looking at using geospatial data for land account compilation would be that first, I would say that there needs to be close collaboration between the land cover map producers and the land account compilers. And the land account compilers are the ones responsible to construct these land cover change metrics and interpret the results. And I believe that this is important because the land account compilers, they rely on the land cover maps, right? And if they encounter issues in interpreting the results, they need direct communication with the right people using a common language, so to resolve them efficiently. And a really important aspect is that the compilers in the statistics office should have a general understanding of the entire process. So from model training to potential data issues. So collaboration is therefore really important. Second, I would say that there is the need to develop a basic understanding of geospatial data within the statistics office. And this is very important because land account compilers work with spatial data sets that will impact their calculations. So for example, if the land cover maps are provided in a coordinate system using latitude and longitude, and the staff, they are unaware of this, the resulting area calculations in the land account table will be incorrect. So there needs to be some understanding of the thinking spatially, basically. Another important aspect is that compilers need to be able to identify improbable land cover transitions in the land account table. So which are the changes that make sense and do not make sense to be able to interpret the results. If they do not have this understanding, and errors may go unnoticed. And this can lead to to wrong conclusions or wrong interpretations. And finally, I think that it is very important to establish standardized methodologies for land account commission, because it is needed for maintaining consistency and the comparability of land cover changes over time. Because land accounts should be updated regularly rather than be treated as a one-time project, and then that's that. So there needs to be, I think, standardized methodologies. So this would be basically my 3 recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Blanca. And I think there are going to be resources that will support all of this, all that you've said, shared later. Elena, are you also on the call? Elena Hrstev, who has supported. Hi, Elena. So you've supported UN's Statistics Division and ESCAP and Statistics Norway with a high-level seminar on the integration of statistical and geospatial information back in, I think it was November 2023. And I think all the countries presenting today, I think they attended that seminar. And linking back to that, do you have any reflections on some of the cross-cutting lessons that have been shared today by countries?
Thank you, Kerry, for this great question. Indeed, high-level seminar had a great scope of bringing together national statistics offices and national geospatial agencies to support and promote geospatial integration that we're talking today. So through active learning practices, learning good practices, increasing awareness on the global frameworks. So the seminar fostered this partnership and collaboration between those national bodies. So we also discussed potential ways forward at the national level. and bring to life many action plans and define those. And we see many countries today putting those actions in play. So I think, and our participants acknowledge that cooperation is the key to success here. So just looking at the case of Kyrgyzstan, I was closely working with, where Kyrgyz Geprezem Cadastral Office, they greatly supported statistical committee with their technical expertise, with data, and this led to considerable success in SDG indicator estimation that we had, like 1131 and 911. So improving further intergovernmental operations, I think, will ensure sustainability in production of those indicators, geo-enabled indicators. So, and I'm glad to learn that many colleagues that we heard already, like Vanuatu, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, is acknowledged this aspect of sustainability and continuity, and many already on their way to implement this geo-enabled statistics with in-house knowledge, first of all, that they gained with the support of Big Data Project, and that they gained without as a result of collaboration across the agencies. So we had good practices here shared by Indonesia, that we have good resources later will be shared by our colleague Mark. So yeah, that's the way forward: cooperation, collaboration, and sharing your success stories. So please don't be shy, and this is what we do today, basically, right? So we are sharing our success stories. We are sharing, promoting our work, and that's why we gather together. So we need our success stories to be shared, our stakeholders to be engaged, and to disseminate this within our departments, within our organization, or interagency working groups. So because the statistical integration will offer great instruments for success in geo-enabled statistics and the processes themselves.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for that, and for your involvement with all of these NSOs and the support with geospatial work. Thank you. Shall we go back? I've been told that there are some good questions coming in. So shall we go back to the mentee? Or Eric, was there something in the chat that you wanted to bring in?
Yes, thank you, Kerry. We just had a question in the chat regarding for Indonesia. Great work, but tell me how we can integrate admin data with satellite imagery data and after processing and making prediction. So for Rita and Fauzi, great work, but tell me how we can integrate admin data with satellite imagery data and after processing and making prediction.
Okay,
So I'm not sure if Rita or Fauzi could answer that. So I think what I read in this is like maybe explain a bit more around that kind of the mixed method way. So how do you actually use it and how you do the survey data, and of course the geospatial data and how they're going to work together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Well, I will try to answer the question. Well, if you mentioned admin data, we kind of like represent the admin data with the survey data collected by our surveyor in every month in Indonesia using the ISF dataset. The dataset will become a label for our training data for our modeling process in machine learning, and the satellite imagery become kind of like the feature or the variable that will be kind of like explain why there is the physical phase become like what we have collected in the admin data. So after the data between the data and then the satellite imagery and also the office labeling data we collect, we combine it and we make a machine learning model for that. I think the specific example can be seen in our presentation in the satellite data slide, I think. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Fauzi.
you, Fauzi. Sorry, Eric. Are there
No,
any other
please.
questions there, Eric, in the chat?
Not in the chat, but there are some new ones in the in Mentimeter also for Indonesia. Yeah.
Let's have a look. There's one there for Vanuatu.
Yeah, we can do one first. Yeah.
Yeah. Vanuatu, are you still with us? How do you embark from the land cover class and arrive at the classification of land use type in the SIA framework? I assume it is not direct, using the machine learning to obtain such result.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I suppose if we start from the beginning of the project, when we originally embarked on the partnership with ESCAP, we got data from the forest inventory system, which was forestry, Department of Forestry going, taking a sample, creating a sampling frame, sorry, for Vanuatu, using sort of a square sampling frame, and then go into those sample points and taking collecting information of what tree types and what land classes were there. And so we originally were going to try and use this, and what became apparent was that wasn't enough data points to try and develop a model that was able to predict land classification for the country. So we carried on the conversation with the Department of Forestry, sorry, and what they had also developed with consultation with an expert that Susie had mentioned earlier was digitally drawn land classifications for Vanuatu with sort of local expert knowledge of the land types and the areas to sort of quality check the estimation of different land covers. So the land cover classifications we took from, I suppose, the ground truth data set that we collected from the Department of Forestry. And I think the Department of Forestry had 2 separate time points when they had classified land. And I think it was something that Blanca had developed in the methodology was to overlay those 2 land cover classifications and to look where there were the same points. And when you looked and you could see there were the same points, you have a greater certainty that that in fact is the land cover type. And it has been over the sort of the 2 different time points. And then from that, we are able to develop a sort of a sampling frame and develop a sample from that to help us then develop a machine learning model to predict what was missing. So I suppose in short, the land cover came from the Department of Forestry, from sort of ground truth data, then digitally drawing with expert knowledge. That being compared over 2 different time points overlaid, us taking a 1% sample of that, and then using that to develop a machine learning model to predict the missing information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hugo. Blanca, did you want to add anything?
Sorry, yeah, I think, am I here also with the camera?
Yeah,
Because
I
think
can
that
hear
before,
you. I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to what Hugo has just
yes, I think that
outlined.
Hugo gave a really good overview of what was the process, at least to define which was the data set used for the machine model training. I think like also I would like to add that in
Oh, I think we've lost Blanca. Blanca, we've lost you. Okay. While Blanca tries to rejoin us, I believe Fauzi has put a link in the chat to share more information about the Indonesia project. For those who are interested, there's more information in the chat. Indonesia, can I quickly come back to you because another question has come into the Menti for you, and it's at the top, it's got 5 likes. What variables did you collect for field validation? Oh, Blanca, we lost you.
Yes, am I back?
You are back. You are
All
back.
right. Sorry about my Wi-Fi.
Please
May
proceed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I was going to add that other than what Ugo has explained about going of how to create this reference data set, you know, for machine model training, I think I would like to add that going from what it is from the beginning to the end, at least to produce your land account, what we have developed for Vanuatu has been a pipeline. So a group of interconnected components that facilitates the structured process for land account compilation. So it is not only a lot of focus has been given to this training a machine model random model to come up with the land cover classification, but that it is not enough if we want to go to land accounts. Yeah, so there is some kind of post-processing that needs to be taken along, you know, to say for the different years in the accounting period. And this refers to try to look at the data issues that you may have individually for a particular year, but also the important part in the land account is to see the changes between two periods of time or 2 years. And there it is also important to focus on the actual transitions, whether the transitions make sense in your land account table. Yeah, and if the interpreters of the land account or the compilers, they see that there is something that it is not right, that you cannot interpret it, you cannot stand behind those numbers, then that means that you may need to go back to your base data and then talk with your map producers and then say, hey, I see these changes, that are you sure that these changes are such? You know, so I think that the process, it is not, it is an interconnected set of components, yeah, that the inputs become the outputs become the inputs for the next component. So it is important for the land account compilation to have a broader view. It's not only one component and then we are okay. No, we need to understand how these work together to be able to interpret the values of your land account at the end. Yeah, so that was what I wanted to add. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Blanca. Thank you very much. I'm sorry we lost you. Indonesia, there's another question in the Mentee. What variables did you collect for field validation ground truth data?
Okay, thank you, Kerry. So the collected variables are pedicrop phenology phase, the heterogeneity of the parcel, land type, and the irrigation type. So then we do the comparisons between the field validation result and the model predictions to see how much it can match, to see how much the accuracy of the model if we compare to the field validation result. Back to you.
Thank you, Rita. Eric, are there any questions in the chat for our NSOs?
No, not at the moment for Indonesia or Vanuatu. This is something for later on, but yeah, we can park that. But this is all I can see in the chat for Indonesia and Vanuatu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There are quite a lot of questions in here. Do I have time just to ask a couple of more questions to our NSOs? We have 10 minutes left, yeah? All good? Let me just see what else is here. Indonesia, can the mixed methods used to predict the productivity, not just area of harvested? Could it give an early warning and, let's say, decrease on rice production?
Okay, Kerry, well, I will try to answer this question, but actually we can't directly say that whether the mixed method can use or cannot be used for the productivity, since we haven't initiated the model yet for the crop yield. So, however, in several reference, the papers found out that there is a possibility to use remote sensing or observation as well as machine learning to predict the crop yield. So from that, perhaps we can make a model for the Indonesia case. However, it's kind of like we have to collect a lot of data, the weather and then the terrain data set, and also perhaps fertilizer data set. But we like to initiate the model in this year, but we haven't any something that we can report it on today.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's see what else. We have questions in here for later on as well. Let me just see if there's anything for Vanuatu. We've done that one. I've been a bad host and I'm not pressing enter when they are done. Let me just check down. There's some questions for our talks this afternoon. Have we done that one, Vanuatu? How easy was it to assess the timeliness and quality of the satellite imagery? How frequently is the imagery data updated?
I think maybe I'll start with the frequency. I think we were using Sentinel-1 imagery, which is 10-meter resolution, and it's updated, I think, around every 5 to 12 days for Vanuatu. I think it was one of the challenges. I know Indonesia had pointed to it as well, but it sounded like Indonesia also had a very good sort of infrastructure, sort of IT infrastructure within government that they could leverage. We don't in Vanuatu, so it was one of the challenges that we had was actually processing because of the computer power required, and so that's why we were sort of looking at smaller areas that we would then sort of add up to get a land accounts for the country. We've sort of been lucky enough to sort of engage with Digital Earth Pacific, and that sort of mitigates a lot of those challenges because that infrastructure has been set up is sort of based on the same sort of open data cube for Digital Earth Africa. So we've started using that recently. So that's helped a lot in terms of the processing power, and also the imagery, which is updated every sort of 5 to 12 days, is automatically put within that platform. In terms of how easy it was to assess the timeless and quality of the satellite imagery, I think in terms of the quality, Blanca will probably know more than myself, but we have a large problem in Vanuatu with cloud cover, and so it's actually quite difficult to get sort of a fully sort of composite imagery over a specific time, because a lot of the time we have cloud cover. I think just in terms of sort of what Blanca had also mentioned, sort of the quality checking aspects before you actually develop and tabulate the land accounts. I think one of the things that we've had discussions with is actually developing this sort of metadata that allows you to sort of look at imagery and then classify it. We had discussions, I think the last time Blanca and Richard were here, I think with the forestry team, and I think that would certainly help in terms of developing an understanding of, okay, when we actually see this type of image, how can we specifically classify it outside of sort of the machine learning, which automates that, but how we would do it to sort of quality check that information. And also it'd be a great resource to have other people also quality check that information. So I'm not sure, maybe if Blanca also wanted to add on. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugo.
Yes, Gary, may I?
Yes.
May I add? Yeah, so yeah, thank you. I think that you gave like a good overview of mainly the issues, and I would like to also add in this part of the cloud cover, this has been a challenge, but I think that in the way that we have addressed this challenge is to use as much as possible the capabilities of filtering at the imagery level, but also then after that, once that the land cover map or classification has been made by the machine learning model, then we had to add extra tools of post-processing, because there are still some clouds left in the data set, other than also other gaps that because maybe areas have not been able to be classified properly. So that it is what I want to emphasize, that it is really important to have this over this workflow of components, you know, just like one, it is the one that it is dealing with the actual satellite imagery processing, but then also there is another component that needs to look at how do you post-process that so that you can, overcome the challenges, in this case, for example, of cloud cover or of other challenges embedded in the imagery or the data that you are obtaining out of these models. And to arrive to also how do you process the data for land account compilation, which also takes some processing that is required within mostly in the GIS environment. So I fully agree with what Ugo has mentioned, and these have been a little bit of the challenges that we encountered. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That brings us, I think, close enough to the break. And I think that was really useful. Appreciation to Vanuatu, Indonesia, excellent presentations, some ambitious work. And thank you for those who joined Vanuatu to answer some of the questions, and to Elena and to Blanca for joining in the discussion. Eric, can I just check there are no other questions in the chat? We are ready to move into the break. There are probably some questions in Minty.
That's correct, Carrie. There's no other questions before the break, correct?
Thank you. Thank you so much. But thank you, everyone who has taken part this morning. Really insightful, really inspiring. We are now going to head into a 30-minute break. We're going to put a timer on the screen. So if you do come back a bit early, you can see how much time is left before we restart. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you 2 o'clock Bangkok time. And you can stay tuned in. You'll just see the clock ticking down. I hope you enjoyed your short break. Our next speakers for the after the break session, we are looking for our Kyrgyzstan colleagues. We hope you are here, because we are going to go straight into your presentation. So this afternoon we have Kyrgyzstan, followed by Malaysia, followed by Bangladesh, and then we will go into our Q&A discussion, exactly the same format as we did this morning. Is Mr. Timur Bekovic in the room waiting to join us?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, we can hear you. How are you?
Everything is good.
Everything is good. Excellent. So Timur is head of Department of Statistics for Sustainable Development and the Environment at the National Statistical Committee of the Kyrgyz Republic. Timur, you have 15 minutes. And what we will do, if you are able to share your screen, what we will do, we'll give you a 2-minute warning before the end.
Okay.
Are you able to share your screen?
Just a second.
No problem.
Where is sharing? Still there? Hello, could you see them?
We can see your presentation and we can hear you, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this virtual regional seminar on a big data for official statistics, organized by the ESCAP. It's my honor to present our work on utilizing geospatial analytics and a big data to compute SDG indicators for the rural accessibility and the urban development in Kyrgyzstan.
Introducing our team. This project has been a collaborative effort between National Statistical Committee of Kyrgyz Republic, Adil Danyarulu, Timur Mambetaliyev, and Aynura Rysaliyeva, geospatial and data science experts, Azamat Karipov, international and national partners from ESCAP's Big Data for Official Statistics project, Richard Pierce Tonkin, Eric Diben, Yelena Christov. Our team has worked extensively to integrate census data, national geospatial datasets, and global big data sources to enhance the production of SDG indicators. Today, I will walk you through our methodology, key findings, challenges, and next steps. And we look forward to an engaging discussion with all of you. Next slide. Results of modeling two SDG indicators. 911, proportion of rural population living within 2 kilometers of all-season road, and 1131, ratio of land consumption rate to population growth rate. Using big data for SDG indicators, geospatial analysis for rural accessibility and urban development in Kyrgyzstan. To calculate SDG indicator 911, which reflects the proportion of the rural population living within 2 kilometers of an all-season road. A common code-based statistical spatial data linking technique was used. This allowed us to obtain the accurate data needed to access this indicator. All-season roads, Kyrgyzstan's national geospatial data in vector format, allowed us to identify key roads, providing year-round access to rural areas. Population. The 2022 census data was used with building level disaggregation and unified identification number codes. Spatial data with UIN codes allowed for precise location of rural populations, which were combined using geocoding. Geocoding is a method of linking a description of a place to a measurable location of the place in space. Geocoding links location information, not referenced to a statistical unit, to a set of coordinates in a coordinate system. We used the method join of linking statistical data to the available spatial data based on the common code of the real estate unit. Thus, at the output, we received geocoded data of the National Statistical Committee with spatial reference. We combined the rural layer and the raw network buffer zones and calculated an indicator for the rural population living 2 kilometers from an all-season road. On the left side, we calculated the sum for the field with general statistics on the population in rural areas in a 2 kilometer zone. On the right side, we calculated the sum for the field with general statistics on the population in rural areas. Once data on the rural population living within 2 kilometers of all season roads and the total rural population were obtained. SDG indicator 911 was calculated using the following formula. Number of rural populations living within 2 kilometers for the all-season road divided by the rural population and got the SDG indicator. The data obtained allowed us to determine the proportion of the rural population living within 2 kilometers of an all-season road in Kyrgyzstan. This information is a key indicator for monitoring the availability of infrastructure and the level of development of the transport network in rural areas of the country. To calculate indicator 1131, which measures the ratio of land consumption to population growth, the following initial geodata were used. Digurba data for the urbanized area of Kyrgyzstan 2020. First, the Digurba calculations were made for 7 major cities of Kyrgyzstan. It is Bishkek, Osh, Talas, Karabalta, Kızılkaya, Özgün, Jalalabad. The GHS DAC tool was used for the calculation, with the help of which the Digurba data for Kyrgyzstan were obtained. The input data were the global population data world pub with a resolution of 1 kilometer, which was previously generated based on data with a resolution of 100 on 100 meters, as well as the development data ESRI land use and land cover. Land use rate data. The land use rate analysis was performed using ESRI Living Atlas land use and land cover data for 2017 and 2020. This data was obtained from ESRI open source GIS portal, which provides annual land cover maps at 10-meter resolution for the period 2017 to 2020. Population growth rate data. To estimate the population growth rate, we use population data for Kyrgyzstan for 2017 and 2020, available through the World Pop Data Hub. These data are raster layers with the distribution of population by territory, where each 100 on 100 meter grid cell represents the number of people. The development area in the urbanized zone for 2017 and 2020 was determined using the zonal statistics function in the GIS system, which made it possible to calculate the development area for each year. Data on population growth was processed, which provided information on the number in urbanized areas in 2017 and 2020. After processing the population growth data, the indicator was calculated using the official SDG 1131 reporting template from UN Habitat. Entering data on the built-up area and population size allowed us to obtain the final indicator value for Kyrgyzstan for 2017 and 2020. With the support of the ESCAP Big Data for Official Statistics project, we successfully calculated SDG indicator 1131 land consumption to population growth ratio and SDG indicator 911 proportion of rural population within 2 kilometers of an all-season road. These achievements utilized advanced geospatial tools, global datasets, and national statistics to model urbanization trends and assess rural accessibility, providing key insights for sustainable development planning in Kyrgyzstan. We achieved good results due to big data project support and our internal technical team. So now we have the base capacity to produce the indicators and ready to put our efforts in geostatistical integration at a larger scale. Thanks to ESCAP's team and international and national experts of Big Data Project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Timur. Do a reaction. I'm going to do fanfare. Thank you very much. Another ambitious project. I mean, these are priority SDGs, so this is really great to see. Thank you. We will hold all of the questions until the Q&A session, so thank you. And I think Azamat, you're there as well, which we will introduce you later. Thank you for being there. to support. Thank you, Timo. We will come to the questions after the next two presentations.
Okay.
Thank you. We are next moving to Malaysia. We should have Tanggu Noradila, who is going to share some of the work with poverty estimates. And I can see there. Mr. Timo, can you stop sharing your screen, and then Ms. Tanggu can. So Tanggu Noradila is a Senior Assistant Director at the Department of Statistics of Malaysia. And now, Tanggu, you only have 10 minutes to present.
All right, thank you, Kerry.
Okay, over to you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I will be presenting our study on integrating EO data into SAE modeling for poverty estimation, focusing on Kelantan as a case study. This presentation will cover 4 main areas, which is introduction, requirements for project delivery, and way forward. This study demonstrates how EO data we integrate into SAE, then it can enhance granular poverty statistics. By applying this approach in Kelantan, we aim to build trust, foster collaboration, and improve poverty estimation. EO data provides timely, detailed, and predictive insights, complementing surveys to support policymakers, statistical office, and NGOs in designing targeted interventions. More importantly, this study actually aims to serve as a proof of concept, showcasing EO's value and encouraging its wider adoption in social statistics through evidence-based collaboration. For this project, we apply the SAE methodology, which relies on a set of well-defined covariates with similar distributions across different data sources. Ensuring data consistency is crucial, as discrepancies in variable definitions or distributions can affect the reliability of the model. In our case, yes, we have a set of covariates that are similarly defined, and the distributions across data sources are not significantly different. This means that a unit-level model-based SAE approach can be applied. However, we first examine the variables more closely. One of the key challenges in finding the set of covariates is missing value, which skew the distribution and limit the number of usable variables. This raises an important question for us, which is how can we optimize input data to maximize its effectiveness in the model? To address this, DOSM is incorporating EO-derived indicators into survey and census data to enhance data insights. By integrating spatial variables, we aim to fill data gaps, strengthen model accuracy, and improve the overall quality of poverty estimation. This approach not only compensates for missing data, but also provides a more comprehensive understanding of socioeconomic conditions at granular level. In this study, two key EO-derived indicators, which are nighttime light intensity, NTL, and daylight surface temperature, DLST, are integrated into our census and survey data using the geographic coordinates of living quarters. These indicators serve as proxies for economic activity and living conditions, helping to refine poverty estimation by providing additional layers of information beyond traditional survey data. NTL serves as a proxy for economic activity and infrastructure development, while DLST provides insights into environmental conditions that may affect living standards. In the context of incorporating EO data into census and survey data for SAE, spatial resolutions plays a crucial role in determining the accuracy and usefulness of derived indicators. In this study, we initially used a 1.5 kilometer resolution for testing. However, we observed that within a 1.5 kilometer radius, there are 4 distinct neighborhoods, suggesting that using higher resolution EO data could provide a more detailed representations of socio-economic conditions. Enhancing the spatial resolution can significantly improve poverty estimation by capturing variability at finer geographic scales and improve the accuracy. Okay, this study frameworks begins with data collection, and then we integrate the census, survey, and geospatial data for a comprehensive data set. Key indicators for poverty estimation are then selected, processed, and transformed for consistency. Next, various estimation technique in SAE, which is direct estimation, area level, and unit level modeling, are applied to generate reliable poverty estimates. The results are then analyzed, visualize, and compile into reports for decision making. That's what we aim. And then to enhance efficiency, reproducible analytical pipelines are being considered in this framework, and Kelantan was chosen for its unique socio-economic profile. All right, incorporating variables like NTL and DLST enhance the estimation of living conditions in remote or under-surveyed areas. For this study, direct estimation from sample data covers 255 third-level administrative areas out of 335 third-level administrative areas in Kelantan, while the SAE area level model extends to 261 areas. And as for household gross income estimation, Fair Harriet produced a slightly higher mean estimate and a more smooth distribution. For this spatial mapping, direct estimation shows a greater spatial heterogeneity and sharper variations, whereas Fair Harriet evens out fluctuations for a smooth trend. This suggests that Fair Harriet is more stable and reliable for broader application, especially in areas with limited survey data. Then for diagnostic check shows that Fair Harriet model effectively borrowing strength to improve small area estimates. However, there is a minor deviation in the residuals and further refinement is needed. This initial study has been a success thanks to the facilitated e-learning course on SAE and the follow-up in-person workshop on the use of EO data we joined last year. And to further enhance our analytical workflow, we are now participating in a facilitated e-learning course on the REP for official statistics. So as we work towards refining the methodology, we actually welcome any training, collaboration, or technical support to strengthen key aspects of our study, specifically on the model robustness and methodology refinement. In this study, we actually face several limitations and challenges, including restricted data sharing due to hesitancy to EO data, computational and technical constraint, and data inconsistency. To address this challenge, we plan to adopt a proof of concept collaboration approach to demonstrate the impact of EO data on estimation. Additionally, we aim to leverage cloud platforms for scalable computing, engage in technical collaborations for capacity building, identify more geospatial and EO-based for proxy variables, and apply advanced pre-processing techniques to enhance data quality and also model performance. Way forward, our future plan focus on capacity building and awareness, expanding and scaling up our approach, refining methodologies, and integrating findings into policy and decision making. So in conclusion, integrating EO data into small area estimation presents a promising opportunity to enhance the accuracy and granularity of poverty estimation. And once again, I extend our sincere gratitude to the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific ESCAP for their invaluable support in capacity building and advancing this initiative. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tangu. I can already see some questions coming in, which we'll hold. We will hold the questions until the Q&A, but thank you very much for that presentation. Again, another ambitious project that needs to scale up now to make it even more ambitious. Thank you very much. We will come back to you in the Q&A panel after the next talk, which now is coming from Bangladesh, also poverty estimates, poverty mapping. And we should have Mr. Mohiuddin Ahmad, Deputy Director and Focal Point Officer for the Poverty and Livelihood Statistics Cell at the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. Mr. Mohiuddin, I hope you're there. I can see your screen. And again, you have 10 minutes and there will be a 2-minute warning to ask you to summarize and conclude. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. This is Mohiuddin Ahmed, Deputy Director from Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. I have with my colleagues Mr. Farooq Sohail, Senior Programmer, Ms. Farhana Sultana, Mr. Mustafa Shabujaman, Joint Director, and Mr. Asadul Alam Pradhan, Statistical Officer, who is working in Poverty and Livelihood Statistics Cell, BVS. So can you see my slides screen?
Yes, it's all very clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So this is basically a poverty map exercise based on the population and housing census conducted in 2022 and the household income and expenses survey. This is basically a secondary data analysis. We'll cover background of SC technique, recent developments in SC technique, history of development poverty map exercise in Bangladesh, and the methodologies. And I will go through few slides on results and the dissemination event. So background of the exercise is basically we conduct HIES, we call it Household Income and Expenses Survey. From this survey, we prepare the poverty rates up to division level. You know, the Bangladesh, under Bangladesh, we have 8 divisions, and under 8 divisions, we have 64 districts, and under 64 districts, we have 590 upazila and metropolitan thanas. So by this HIS survey, we produce only the division level poverty estimations, but we don't have any granular level data. So for example, the district level and the sub-district, that is upazila or metropolitan thana level, we don't have the poverty rates directly from the survey. So what we can do, we do the smaller estimation technique using this SE technique to produce the poverty rates up to district and upazila level. So the sample size of this survey approximately 12 to 20,000. If you look at the past 17, 16 survey, we'll find it 10,000, 12,000, 14,000. In last HIS survey, we conduct the HIS survey in 14,400 households around Bangladesh. The strength of the HIS is basically we have the per capita consumption expenditure in this data set. Weakness is limited sample, not covered the whole country. So in population census, the strength is we have covered 100%. Each and every household was covered in this census. Approximately 440 million households covered in this census. So strength of this census is full coverage, socioeconomic variables covered by 100%. The weakness is there is no data of per capita consumption expenditure in the population census. So combining these two data sets using the smaller estimation technique, we can come up with a solution which we call the in earlier rounds we calculate these numbers in using the ELL method, Albert's Lange, which I will talk about later on. So the technique actually, already I spoke about the HIS survey. We have consumption data, we have predicted variables in household survey, but in census, we don't have the consumption data. So what we can do, we can predict this consumption variable based on the household survey data, and combining these two data sets, we can come up with the solution. The one good thing is that Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics conducts the HIS survey in 2022. In the same year, we conduct the last population and housing census, that is 2022. So it's a good option for us comparing to earlier rounds exercises. In earlier rounds, in 2016, we have HIS, but the population census data was a bit later, a bit older. That is in 2011, we conduct the last population census. But this year, this round, we have the opportunity to use the same year data set from the HIS and the population housing census 2022. So we use the model, nested error model. This is a popular model. You know the model. So as I have the limitation of time, I'll not details go through this model. You're all familiar with this model. Those who are familiar with SE methods. So there is recent developments. You know that the ELL method was introduced by Elvers, Lenjo, and Lenjo, popularly used by the NSOs globally in 2023 by improving the HLLP method of 1998. So there was a few criticism of the ELL method for its noisy and other estimation process. So there is a development by Molina and Rao in 2010. The ELL method was found noisy and less reliable under model assumptions. So the World Bank developed the EB methods. We call it empirical best method, or census EB method improves the ELL over the ELL method, which introduced this simulation and bootstrapping, refining the point estimates that is the poverty rates, and the mean square errors. That is, in census EB method, it is reduced by the point estimation errors and the mean square errors. Already spoken. So you see the ELL method, the left side showing the ELL methods and the right side is empirical based methods. So it is, you see the noise of the left side and the right side is less noise. So it will give some precise results compared to the ELL method. But most of the NSOs are still using the ELL method. Few of the NSOs and the research organizations are using the census method developed by the World Bank recently. Here is the list of the countries that use the census methods. That is Colombia, Panama, Vietnam, Malawi, Benin, Pakistan, Georgia, Vanuatu, Kenya, Bhutan, the European Union. And the latest user is Bangladesh. That is the census method over ELL method. History of poverty map exercise in Bangladesh. Bangladesh Board of Statistics started its journey for creating this poverty map back in 2000. The next one is 2005. The next one is 2010, and this 2016, and the recent is the 2022. So we have the partnership collaboration with the World Bank and the WP. Why World Bank? As the poverty custodian agency, as per SDG's goal, we have a collaboration, long-standing partnership with the World Bank since 2000. And the WP is also another long-standing partner in this exercise, poverty map exercise. So these are the two important partners for VBS. So we use the HIS 2020 dataset by micro dataset for this exercise and population census dataset. And we have a lot of developments in the HIS 2022. I'll share the report with you so that you can have a look on both of this report. And the biggest challenge we faced during we took the challenge during conducting the population housing census 2022 because it was in CAPI method. So most of the countries didn't take this challenge, but Bangladesh Board of Statistics faced it and overcome it and won this challenge by conducting a huge digital census, which improves the data quality as well. So we have eight divisions. Under 8 divisions, we have 64 districts. Under 64 districts, we have 590 upajilas, metropolitan thanas. Step 1 in this process, SE steps, selection of potential variables. So we combine, initially we choose 119 variables from the HIS and the population census dataset for making similar pattern, similar characteristics. And then selection variables, out of 119 variables, we choose 68 variables as selection, we call it eligible variables. and then we run a model, consumption model from the population sensor dataset using this EHS dataset. Then we go for step 4, Monte Carlo simulation and bootstrapping techniques to make the point estimations.
Sorry to interrupt, but just to let you know, you've got 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Okay. So here is the model fitness. You see, it is approximately 40% to 70% is the R square and the R square adjusted R square value. So you see the model accuracy from this graph. So these are the confidence limits of the poverty estimations from HIS. You see the point, the mean, the poverty rate was 18.7%. When you apply the SCA methods, it is approximately 19.2%. So it is almost nearer. So the confidence intervals also show us the how precise this result using this smaller estimation technique. You'll save this in the division level. You'll see the same findings, same picture. So this is the alignment of domain at domain level. You see the HIS and the sensitivity methods. So HIS, the sensitivity methods is more precise if you compare with the HIS. So it is under the line of the two upper limit and lower limit. Standard error. So the standard it is optimal, but the Upajala level standard error is maximum is 19.2. It is a bit challenging. It was a challenging case. So we have 5 cutoff points to categorize the Upajalas districts: very low, low, moderate, high, and very high group. Lower poverty rate, though it is very challenging, limitations of the study that comparing the lower poverty rates, it was the demand from the stakeholders. That is why we go for this, but we will discourage to do this poverty rates under this SE techniques. Here is the categories: number of districts, number of upajalas based on these categories. So this is the distribution of poverty distribution over the number of district and number of upajalas. How the poverty looks like actually. Most of the poverty rate district was belonging to 10 to 30% poverty rates, and the upajalas it is positively skewed distribution. So this is the distribution. Actually, we have 8 divisions. In Borishal divisions, it was a concern for us. 50% Upajala district are under the distribution is under the poverty rates. So these are the coefficient of variation. Upper line. So lower line we will discuss lower line. So the coefficient of variation in lower line is very high, but the upper line is satisfactory. We expected below the expected range. So these are the poverty maps actually. The red means the high rate, the less rate, the low rate. Same thing for district Upajala. The red means the higher poverty rates. So this is a decadal snapshot comparing to 2010 to 2022. So if you see the decadal snapshot, we will find another picture, which was the first of this kind map in this 2022 exercise. In earlier map report, you will not find the same picture. So this year we want to try to focus on the decadal snapshot. So there was
Mr.
event.
Mr.
Yes,
Moedin,
finished.
we are going to
I'm
have
finished.
to move. We are going to have to
Yes.
finish your
So
talk.
these were the dissemination event back to 30th January by the collaboration of WFP and World Bank. Thank you so much. These are the
Thank you
links
very
of
much. Thank you very
Thank you so
much. We are sharing your full slide deck on the website, so if anybody wants to see the full slides, they can. Okay, thank you very much for our 3 talks. There have been some questions coming into Mentimeter, so what we will do now is move into our Q&A session. We have 45 minutes for this, and this is where we invite in your colleagues and some of the other panelists will be those who supported in these big data projects. So I know in Bangladesh, there are a number of people, and I know Mr. Moedin, you did actually introduce them earlier, but we have Miss Farhana Sultana, Deputy Director and member of the PLS cell, Mr. Asadul Alam Pradhan, a Statistical Officer at BBS and a member of the PLS cell, Mr. Mustafa Ashraf Fuzuman, Joint Director at BBS, and Mr. Farokh Sohail, Senior Programmer at BBS. So I think they're all in the room with you, which is really good. And also joining Kyrgyzstan is Azamat Karipov, who is from the State Land Survey Institute in Kyrgyzstan. Also, Mr. Josh Murfield, Associate Professor at the KDI School of Public Policy and Management. And I think Josh has already been active in the chat, wishing to steal some photos and pictures. So welcome all of you to the Q&A panel. We will do this as we did earlier. We will start with focusing on the NSOs and their projects. And I'm going to share my slide because my screen so that we can go back into the Mentimeter and see what questions people have raised for us. And we've got a question there for Malaysia. I'm going to try to go in order. I'm going to try to start with Kyrgyzstan and then go to Malaysia and then go to Bangladesh, just to keep some order and make sure everyone has a fair amount of questions and time to answer. So Kyrgyzstan. A question here. In your presentation, you will refer to the close work and partnership with the Cadastre Office. Apologies if I've said that incorrectly. What does that mean in practical terms? Azamat, I don't know if you want to speak to that. Oh, sorry, NSO. Timur. Is Timur there?
Yes. In practical terms, our collaboration with the Cadastre Office involves data sharing, joint mapping projects, and integrating cadastral and geospatial data. This improves land tenure transparency, supports urban planning, and enhances decision-making for infrastructure and environmental management.
Thank you, Timo. So good to work closely with your partners.
Thank you.
At the Cadastre Office. Thank you very much. Okay. That question is answered. Malaysia, you're next. You mentioned challenges around hesitancy at your NSO to adopting Earth observation data. How difficult was it to overcome this barrier? And what advice can you give to others? Sounds as though others may have this issue. Thank you.
All right. Overcoming hesitancy toward EO in social statistics actually was challenging. Unlike in agriculture, where satellite imagery can directly observe crop types and land cover, EO data does not provide a direct view of people's living conditions. From above, we can see rooftops, but we cannot see the economic or social realities inside the homes. So this led to skepticism about using EO data to estimate poverty and household well-being, as the indicators are derived indirectly rather than through direct observation. So to address this, that is why we took a proof of concept approach, integrating EO-derived indicators such as nighttime light, land surface temperature. Maybe after this, we add on more variables such as building density and others, to allow us to demonstrate that EO data can enhance small area estimates, particularly in under-surveyed or hard-to-reach areas. So for others facing similar challenge, my advice is to start small with pilot studies, clearly communicate how EO data fills the data gaps, and collaborate with maybe international experts to strengthen the credibility. So for us, we optimistic that this approach can successfully build trust, improve adoption, and paving the way for more data-driven and innovative approach in social statistics. Thank you.
Great answer, Tanku. Thank you very much. Hopefully that's answered the question. Okay, let's have a look to see if we can find a question for Bangladesh colleagues. Bangladesh, methodological techniques for small area estimation have been evolving over time. How do you keep on top of this evolving methodological field?
Thank you very much. This is Mohidin Ahmed. I'm giving the answer. My colleagues can also share if I miss out anything. So Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics doing this exercise with the collaboration with World Bank and the World Food Program. Basically, World Bank is the poverty custodian agency. So this organization actually develops the new methods and techniques for small area estimation particularly. So as Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics is strongly collaborated in this exercise with World Bank, and we are just evolving the new techniques regularly. It is not a problem for us actually. We evolve this, and the census method is very recent development. And fortunately, we evolve these recent developments as well by our current exercise. Thank you.
Thank
My
you very
colleagues
much.
can add a few things if they want.
Say that again,
Okay,
sorry,
okay.
Mr. Mohidin.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll close that question and we will return to Kyrgyzstan. Okay, Kyrgyzstan, how do you maintain your knowledge and what is your plan to train more people?
Okay. We stay updated through international conferences, UN working groups, and collaboration with experts. To train others, we conduct workshops, develop training materials, and promote knowledge exchange between institutions to build long-term capacity. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Training more people is always important for that sustainability aspect. Okay, question in from Malaysia. Great presentation. You mentioned the need for more training and collaboration. What do you think you need to scale up the work? So I'm guessing that's linked to the skills. What new skills do you think you need in order to scale up the work?
To scale up the work, we believe that we need the technical collaboration. Technical collaboration is essential for model refinement and validation. Specifically, we actually need support to ensure that the developed model is methodologically sound, statistically robust, and suitable for publication as official statistic, actually.
Okay. Thank you, Tangu, for that. And I've got a question in for Bangladesh. I've got questions coming in on WhatsApp as well. It's all happening. Okay, there's a question here for the three of you. Let me just see if there is one for Bangladesh. It says, I know that SID and BBS in Bangladesh, I hope that means something to you, have been working on using nighttime lights and other geospatial data sources to supplement more traditional sources for small area estimation. How do you plan to take forward? Great question.
Yes, thank you. In 2022 and later on 2021, Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics in collaboration with the ESCAP did an exercise using the nightlight things and for machine learning using the machine with geospatial data sources. So we are planning to do the same works or the better works in the near future. If ESCAP can help us, I will be grateful to you. Actually, we have planned to do these things. Rather analyzing the small illustration technique by using the secondary data sets only. So we need to explore the new things as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you know, I'm hearing a lot of requests for further training to ESCAP. So I think
Can I add something here?
Yes, of
From
course.
Bangladesh also.
Of course.
Just I found a question that based on the machine learning. So if I mention about the smaller estimation of Bangladesh,
This one?
you know, yeah.
This one. Okay.
If you machine learning, that's nice question also. So what we done in the 2022 poverty mapping exercise in Bangladesh. So there is a machine learning touch thing. As you know that lasso is a machine learning process. So we have used the lasso for selection eligible variables in our model, post lasso and also before lasso. And we have used the GLS Henderson 3 methods. That's highly improved related to machine learning process. So that's why we can say partially or fully that we have used the machine learning process in the poverty exercise in 2022 in Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I think it's for Malaysia as well, this question, not for Kyrgyzstan. Tanggu, did you want to speak to this question as well? Did you experiment small area estimation with machine learning?
Okay, so before we go for this SAE method, actually we have experiment with the machine learning. So what we found is the model tends to overfit, maybe because of socioeconomic in Malaysia is I'm not sure, maybe because of the socioeconomic that is different between our district and so on. And one more thing that we found is because we actually have the hesitancy towards the EO data. So what we get from others is that EO cannot be the only data source for the poverty. So that is why we change our modus operandus. So we go for SAE methodology, which is SAE, they actually compile the data, they combine the data from census, survey, and other auxiliary data. So we not only depends on EO data. So that is where we can get some support from others. So that, yeah, we use EO, but EO is just an auxiliary data, not the single source of truth for the poverty estimation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanggu. And Josh Merfeld, you're on the call there. Did you want to speak to this at all?
I'm not sure how much I can add over what's been said. There's a lot going on with machine learning for small area estimation. I think up to now, the biggest issue with a lot of NSOs adopting machine learning is actually the calculation of uncertainty. So our Bangladesh colleagues presented stuff on standard errors, margin of error, coefficients of variation, stuff like that. And at least traditionally, machine learning hasn't really been as focused on that stuff. And I think that's kind of led some NSOs to not want to use them, since a lot of them do have strict rules on things like CVs to be able to publish official statistics. But that is something that's changing. So hopefully in the future, we'll see more.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. I am just going to go back through and see what else is in this Mentimeter, because we do have quite a few more minutes for this. Kyrgyzstan. Do you mind if I come back through to you? How do you define, I think this is a great question, how do you define rural and population living within 2 kilometers of an all-season road? What data sources have you used? Great question.
Okay, to calculate this indicator, we use census data. We use census data with cadastral data. So we have a data set with which consists from the cadastral data and from the cadastre office and the data from the census. So in the census data, we have indicator that indicates the rural or urban in which place live this concrete people. and we connect this data to cadastral data, and then we get the rural population. Also, we have a our data source for these calculations were used from the Ministry of Transport for all season roads.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
so let me see what else is here. Thank you. Malaysia, back to you. I think, well, the scale-up plan for this project. Any other country could repeat this project? Further, what do you mean by evidence-based collaboration? What is the scale-up plan? And could any other country repeat?
All right. My scale-up plan is to go for more trainings, and actually this is one of our scale-up plan. When Carrie asked for us to present in this session, so what comes in my mind is that, okay, this platform can be one way to get more collaboration, more technical collaboration to help us refine and validate our methodology. So this is actually one of our scale-up plan actually. And then by means of the evidence-based collaboration, well, actually, when there is a hesitancy to what we want to give to the official statistics, then we need to show that what we suggest is something that, yeah, it can happen, yeah, it can help you. So to show that, we need to give proof of concept, to give some evidence that it can be done. So this is what we go for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tangu. Yes, and so if anybody wants to collaborate, please let us know. Please let Tangu know. It's a great opportunity to use these audiences for collaboration. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that a moment. I'm going to now turn to our other guests who are here in the Q&A session. We have Azamat Karipov from the Land Survey Institute in Kyrgyzstan. Azamat, I assume you're there. I assume you're in the room with Timur. Hello. You work for the State Land Survey Institute in Kyrgyzstan, and I know you've been working very closely with the NSC to support geostatistical integration. Could you tell us more about how your organizations have been working together? Because I think this is a really important point to get across. It's about this type of collaboration. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, our collaboration with the National Statistics Committee focuses on integrating geospatial and statistic data to improve decision making. And we provide geospatial expertise. We provide data, and also we provide infrastructure, while the National Statistics Committee brings statistical methodologies and socioeconomic data. And together, we're working on the national mapping and census data support and SDG monitoring. I think this partnership enhances the data accuracy, visualization, and accessibility, supporting the evidence-based policy development.
Thank you very much, Azamat. And we will pick up later about collaborating in this way. Thank you, Azamat. Josh, we know you've been working for quite a while with geospatial data for small area estimation, but can you share with us why might an NSO want to consider using these non-traditional sources for small area estimation?
I think there's kind of two really big reasons. One reason is that a lot of this Earth observation data is updated, at least monthly, if not more. If you have, for example, access to planet imagery, you can sometimes get it from days ago. So that means it's always up to date. So if you are an NSO and you just did a household survey this year, but your last census was 10 years ago, you might not feel comfortable using something like Bangladesh did when they did both the survey and the census at almost the exact same time. So an alternative to that would be to use Earth observation data, which is almost always up to date. And the second is that, when we think about why we use small area estimation, it's because we have a survey that by necessity does not cover everywhere. So if you want to impute into places where you don't have a survey, you have to have data that covers all populated areas of the country, or at least all populated areas where you're interested in calculating any indicator like poverty. And Earth observation data is available everywhere. It doesn't matter the country, the most secretive countries in the world, we can take satellite data and we can look at them. So it's widely available. The one issue, of course, is that it is a little more difficult to use, at least when you first get started, than more traditional data.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. And obviously, Josh, if we could stay with you, we know that accessing and preparing geospatial data as an input to small area estimation can be really challenging. Are there some solutions that are being developed or already exist to help support with this?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two difficulties here. One is that a lot of NSOs might still use a stats program like Stata or even SPSS, and those just are not built to work with geospatial data at all. So even if you wanted to, for example, I'm not aware of any way you could use SPSS to access geospatial data. So that's kind of one constraint. And then the second constraint is that geospatial data tends to be stored in very different ways than data we're used to using. If you're a statistician and you're used to using household survey data, it's just a very different data structure. So there's kind of a learning curve when you first get into geospatial data, Earth observation data. And that's not even talking about imagery. Imagery is kind of a different thing as well, has its own learning curve, as well as all the algorithms you'd have to use with it. So I think those are kind of the two big ones. And in terms of kind of things that are in the pipeline, so with a bunch of people at the World Bank, we are putting together an R package called GeoLink. And the idea is that you can give it a shapefile. So if you have, most countries have a shapefile of administrative areas within their countries, you can feed it into a function from this R package, and it will automatically give you different geospatial indicators that cover the area of the shapefile. So that's one. And then we are also working on stuff for trying to integrate this with small area estimation in particular. So POVmap is one that's come out of the World Bank. I think it's the SSA statistical group, but don't quote me on that. And we're trying to add things to that, as well as some new machine learning methods that we're working on that can also calculate uncertainty. So there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipes. But I think a big one, as other people have said, is kind of support training workshops to teach people how to do this themselves, so that they aren't reliant on, for example, ESCAP or consultants to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that contribution. There are still a couple of questions in our Menti, so I am going to go back in and see what we've got, because we have got a little bit of time left. As long as our colleagues, our NSO presenters are still okay to answer a few more questions. There's a question here from Malaysia. How do you identify indicators from census and survey and EO data?
Indicators from census, survey, and EO data are identified based on their relevance to the analysis and their availability across all data sources. For SME framework, actually the survey data borrows strength from census data to improve estimates for small domains. So to achieve this, both data sources must share common variables that serve as linking factors. So the selection of variables for poverty estimation is guided by literature reviews and also domain knowledge from subject matter experts. These variables typically include demographic, socioeconomic, and housing characteristics that are strong predictors of poverty. EO data we use to further enhance estimation by providing geospatial indicators such as infrastructure access, environmental conditions, and so on, just to complete the traditional survey and census data. Thank you.
Thank you, Tangu. Much appreciated. Let me answer that one. What else do we have? Bangladesh. I think you may have answered this in your talk. What's the lag time now between obtaining the data and integrating and through to publication compared to what you were doing previously? And do you have any estimates of the cost savings?
Thank you. The recent publication of poverty mapping exercise using the SCA techniques was in 2022, but we disseminated in January 2025. Before that, we have the population census in 2011, and the HIS was in 2016. As there was a COVID, we prepared this that poverty map report in 2021. So it was time lag actually, if you say it's almost 6 years, 5 to 6 years. But now we're trying to reduce this time lag by 3 to 4 years actually. So many of our NSOs producing the poverty rates in every year, though it is very difficult actually for a country like Bangladesh. So we want to produce every 3 years. And the cost estimation, actually, we don't have this exact estimation right now. But if you consider the total cost of the poverty map exercise 2022, it will very less amount. Actually, we don't need to any big fund or amount for this exercise. Technical support is coming from the World Bank, and the map exercise is coming from the WFP. So there is no money involved actually in that case. Only $100,000 maybe, much something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Some big savings. Okay, thank you. Eric, can I just check there are no questions in the chat?
That's correct, Carrie. There's no further questions. No.
Thank you very much. I think if it's okay with everyone, we will get ahead of ourselves and move to welcome Mark Iliff, the Geospatial Information Officer at UNSD. And we'll consider signpost some of the geostatistical integration materials that are available. And I think many have been mentioned during these talks and the answers that have come. But Mark, you're the Secretariat for the Global UN Expert Group on the integration of statistical and geospatial information. And I know you wanted to share more information with this group. What resources are available to support countries who, I mean, many have said here, really want to carry on building our capability. So let's do that now. Let's have a look to see what is available for everyone.
Yeah.
Over to you, Mark.
No, thank you very much, Carrie. It's been very, very good to hear the many different examples that have been presented today. And I just want to talk about the diversity sort of within each of the countries. So the resources that you see on the screen are globally developed frameworks, resources and guides. I'd like to highlight the Global Statistical Geospatial Framework that was mentioned previously by Elena and others as a framework that guides the integration of statistical and geospatial information, but also the implementation guide for the GSGF that also contains national experiences that complement today's sort of broad landscape. And within that, I'd just like to highlight that countries like Vanuatu was talking about the need to build sustainable capacity and balancing the need of having those advanced AI techniques with in-house capacity and external support, and noting that, sometimes people will come in, not build the capacity locally and then leave. You've got Indonesia talking about the power of Earth observations, but then Malaysia talking about data sharing agreements. And a lot of these answers can be found through working together. And this is why we've developed these frameworks, but also specifically for the SDGs. So Kyrgyzstan noted that there were efforts of SDG 9.1.1, providing an outline for how to build those collaborations to produce the SDGs. And ultimately, there are assessment tools as well that help you establish and baseline your capacity and capabilities to adapt to your national circumstances. And this is why these tools and resources exist, because we're not saying there's a one-size-fits-all policy. We're not saying that these are this is the only way to succeed. As we've seen today, there are many different ways of succeeding, and you're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And this is where we're looking beyond the technical realities. In some of the work on small area estimation, the poverty mapping in Bangladesh, you can see the value of bringing a broad coalition together. So it's not just within the National Statistical Office, and I know today is very much focused on National Statistical Offices, but it's a whole country exercise. It necessitates bringing together multiple institutions. And that's why we've developed a model agreement between national statistical offices and national geospatial agencies. You saw from the Kyrgyzstan example the role and value of bringing together a national statistical office and a national geospatial agency through the cadastral agency. It's aimed by creating a boilerplate agreement. We can really enfranchise national statistical offices to engage with their national geospatial agencies and cadastral agencies to build that foundational capacity to develop the geostatistical data products that we all need. And then that builds a foundation that can then be used to be more advanced with with your artificial intelligence or your small area estimations. And lastly, just to close, a lot of those materials were presented at the high-level seminar on the integration of statistical and geospatial information. I know that depending on where you are in your institution, whether you're a chief statistician or you're in a technical office, all of it requires a background, it requires an anchor. And the heart of geostatistical integration is geocoding. It's about linking that statistical record to a geography, to a place, and then being able to aggregate that up, whether it's at the individual level, a statistical unit record, whether that's a person, a business, or a resource, and then bringing that up to higher level geographies to inform decision makers. And all of that is captured here. I will put my email in the chat. I do welcome you to email me. Obviously, go to Richard, go to Kerry first, but also we're here to support you from our headquarters in New York. And I just want to say it's a pleasure to be with you, even though it's 4 a.m. in the morning for me. I am so excited to see the work and progress that you're doing. And just know that the good work that you're doing in Asia and the Pacific is reaching us here in New York, and we're pushing you on. We want to hear about it, and please keep doing the good work. So thank you very much to all of the presenters here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really inspirational for 4 o'clock in the morning. Some really encouraging words. Thank you. And I didn't say thank you to the previous Q&A panel. I didn't say thank you. Thank you for your presentations. Thank you for participating and answering our questions. And thank you to the audience for posting your questions into Menti. But there are some more learning materials here. So Mark has just spoken to what's here on the first slide. But, there's the practical guides tailored for national circumstances, growing number of resources available that speak to all of these things that people need. There's some practical guides here listed from ESCAP. So beginners' handbooks, step-by-step guides for producing land cover change maps and statistics, advanced guides for producing land cover change maps and statistics. So you have some tools here, some resources that can support you if you are thinking of going down this journey. There are some others that are coming soon. So all of this work that the Big Data Project has been doing, they are trying to pull together all of the resources that have been used across the whole process, and making sure that all of that is available for everybody. So there's more to come. As you can see there, the list at the bottom. And there are also some very strong collaborative pieces, as you can see all the logos at the bottom of how much collaboration often it takes to bring something out to the table for you. But there is an e-learning available on disaggregated estimates using small area estimation in R. And there is a toolkit on using small area estimation for the SDGs. And there is small area estimation with geospatial data, a primer available. And coming soon, geospatial small area estimation, a how-to guide. I mean, this is a lot of resources available for you. Mark, is there anything else you want to speak to here, or are you good?
I just think that with what you've shared, I just really reiterate the need for us to collaborate and to work together. Resources are not infinite, and statistical offices are often the engine room for decision making across a country. Without data, we can't make good decisions. And the challenges that we face really are challenging. They're at the core and the heart of what we do. So I'd really suggest and urge collaboration with other data-centric agencies, geospatial agencies, space agencies, ministries of infrastructure. The data we have cannot just be kept in one office. An indicator 9.1.1 is a great example of that. What business does a National Statistical Office have maintaining the national road data set? That should be in a Ministry of Infrastructure or a Department of Roads. Let's be smart about this, because a lot of countries are really struggling. And this isn't just about a developing country or a developed country. These are universal. We shouldn't be duplicating work. We should be optimizing our resources. And this is the whole point around the resources on the screen. It's about giving you the tools and the options to build the bridges from your statistical office, within your statistical office, but also externally too. So, every journey starts with a single step. Many of you are far along on those journeys, and it's about being that iterative process. So doing what's good today is going to be better tomorrow, and then it's going to be even better the day after. So you just got to keep going. And when you hit a roadblock, that's okay. Just keep hitting at it. You don't have to control the world. You don't have to control every data set. Sometimes it's about talking to others within your country and talking to people at ESCAP, talking to us in New York. We're there to help, and we're there to help you break through. So thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Mark. And I guess our 5 presentations today have all proven that even if they hit blockers, they have just moved on through. And they've shared today some fantastic results with, really ambitious projects. And as you've said, these things aren't easy. You have to collaborate, and they've shown how they've done that, and that it's really worthwhile.
To offer a personal experience, if you'll permit me, I was fortunate enough to be in Kyrgyzstan 2 years ago, working with the colleagues that presented indicator 9.1.1 today. And it's so good to see that progress continue. And the one thing I'd like to note, I can see where they've changed the methodology according to what they need, according to their national circumstances. And that's what's so important. It's about making it your own. It's about taking it. And we can come in and we can do a workshop, and that's great. Everyone loves a workshop. But seeing that being taken and then pushed forward and adapted to the national ecosystem, that's what we want. And you can see how it's adapting to situations. So just keep going. It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Eric, can I just check? Have any questions around around discussing the learning materials? Has anybody asked a question or raised a hand or anything?
Yes, the question has been asked, and Nana Pass already kindly shared the link for everyone to get access to that. So it's all in hand. So all the information is there for everyone to download. Well, from now. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric. Okay, well, we're doing good here. So thank you to Mark for that really important contribution at some silly o'clock in the morning. We are now moving into draw a close to this brilliant workshop today. I want to sort of take stock, and all of those participants who've been listening, you've been incredible today, paying attention and putting questions in the Menti, etc. But if I could ask you, we want to try and get a nice like word cloud up here. I can see GIS has already formed. In one word, what would be your biggest takeaway from this workshop today? And you can think about that and you can put your words in, and we'll come back at the end after Riké has closed, and we'll come back and we'll just take stock and see what the visual looks like, if that's okay with everyone. Because we also want you to evaluate how this has gone for you today. And there is an evaluation form behind that QR code or in that link. And I'm hoping one of my colleagues will kindly place that link into the chat for you all. But we would really appreciate, it's the same evaluation form for tomorrow as well. So if you are attending tomorrow, you may just want to wait until you've attended tomorrow and then do the evaluation. But we would really appreciate it. We're always looking for ways to improve these types of events, and this feedback will help us greatly. So we're at the close, Riké. We are at the end of a very good day, and I'm wondering if you are ready to come in and close the session for us before I look back at the word cloud and see how it's looking. Is Riké there?
Yes, I'm here, Carrie. Thank you very much. And indeed, it has been an extremely interesting, afternoon here in Bangkok, but for others, night, for others, again, morning or evening. So it's been a very global audience. With the remarks that we've just heard from yourself, as well as the previous couple of speakers, Carrie, I think that there's no need for me to try to sum up the main sort of takeaways actually from today, because that has already been done excellently. What I want to do is to thank all the presenters. Really, really great presentations. I want to also thank everyone who's been asking questions, because the questions have been great. And what often is the case is that the questions and the answers to those questions are actually at least and very often more informative than the presentation. So I thought we got some real insights here. One thing is the methodologies applied, but also in particular about this very contextual information that's required, and the adaptation as well, because most of the challenges and also the solutions to overcome those challenges that we heard really had to do with the environment within which a certain statistical institution is working and where the various other stakeholders are at. So I thought this was really, really informative. I want to also thank all the many experts, consultants, resource persons, including yourself, Carrie, for excellent facilitation today. But this project has really benefited from really, really good people in the national statistical institutions, coupled with a group of just excellent resource persons from all over the world. So I want to thank everyone for that. Now, instead of trying to summarize outcomes, what I will do is to speak to one of the questions that was mentioned by several people and not responded, because it was very much in terms of what kind of support can be extended from ESCAP going forward. We did hear a bit also from Mark, sitting in another part of the United Nations, and together we'll, of course, continue to collaborate and extend the support that we can do between us. Now, at ESCAP, what we will be doing going forward in although this project is finishing, which means that operational funding is closing, we will continue to convene experts, for example, through virtual events such as this workshop. We are always welcoming ideas for topics, so anyone, please do communicate with us. You have the emails of several people in my team, as well as myself, many of you. You're welcome to reach out through email informally. If you have very specific requests for technical assistance or to get you through a challenge that's immediately ahead of you, you're welcome to also contact us sort of in a more formal way in terms of a letter to ESCAP as an organization. We'll do what we can to respond. It all depends on available expertise and funding, of course. We also extend quite a lot of the technical assistance we do these days virtually, actually, to have regular calls where we do provide advice. We are happy to receive data sets if you want someone to have a look. We have quite a broad range of expertise within my team here. What we also do, and very frequently, is to make use of our extended network, both within the United Nations, but certainly also through the many, many experts we work with in the context of projects such as this one and others. So we are always happy to receive requests. If we can't respond ourselves, then we reach out to others. We've also heard during the past 10 minutes or so of a lot of resource materials that are in the pipeline, and we will certainly, once and as these resources come on stream, we will be informing everyone, and the ones who've registered for this workshop, we will be circulating them using your email addresses as well, so you will be notified of these. So I think that I will stop for today with that, and just thank you again, Carrie, for keeping a lot of balls in the air here during the past couple of hours to get us all really well towards the end of the first day of this workshop. So with that, over to you, Carrie.
Oh, thank you very much, Rikke. A nice summary, a good summary for a good day. I thought I'd just share back. I thought I'd just put back on the screen the biggest takeaways from today. I think it's nice to just get this snapshot from people, you know, and I can see collaboration there is the big one in the middle, which I was expecting that to be the largest that message that comes through. But data sharing, working together, impact, knowledge, training, success, inspired. That's great. Someone's inspired. Thank you. But yeah, thank you. So Rikke has closed for us. I just want to say a huge thank you to all of those who've presented today and taken part in our question and answer, and to Mark for still being on the call at goodness knows what time in the morning in New York. Thank you, everyone. A big round of applause from me for everyone. And for those who are going to join us tomorrow, 12 o'clock Bangkok time, for a 2-hour workshop tomorrow that's looking at the integration scanner data, webscraped data, and admin data into prices statistics, namely the consumer price index. Please join us then. Thank you all. I think we can all leave now.
Thank you.